So my name is Dan Sherven. I'm here with Classified. I'm a novelist and an author. I had the cool opportunity to fly out to Nova Scotia, interview Classified, help him write his book, interview his friends and family. We did all kinds of Zoom meetings over the last couple of years just to really get the book how we wanted it. And yeah, we just thought we'd catch up, talk about the book a little bit, and hopefully inspire you guys to pick up a signed copy down at classifiedmerch.com. So I guess anything you want to say in the way of introduction?
What's up, Dan? How you been, bud? That's my introduction.
Yeah.
Good, man. Good.
So what would you like to say to fans who have already picked up a copy of the book?
Oh, thank you, first and foremost. You know what I mean? Like we just shipped out 500 books from my basement. I got my kids packing up books, and in 6 days we shipped out 500 books. So, you know what I mean? For people to just show that interest and that support, and you know what I mean? Most people would rather go to a store because you don't get to pay shipping, but these are hardcore fans. You know, a lot of people I consider friends that, just wanted to support and kind of get more of the story. You know what I mean? I've been putting out music for 20 years and telling my story, but this is a lot, a digger deep into the, things I couldn't put into songs. So it's cool to see that people are interested in hearing more about that.
What does it mean to you to have a book out in the world?
I think it's cool. Like, I don't know. I keep looking at it different ways. Like, as a personal kind of a selfish thing, I love it because it's like my life in a book. You know what I mean? Like, I can go through this. I can show my family. I can show my kids in 20 years and be like, this is what I did, or, my grandkids, whatever it is. And it really does tell the story of, a kid from Enfield, Nova Scotia, 15, wanted to be a rapper. And, at this point, there was no rappers in Canada really being successful on a grand scale, except for like a handful. And just, show people that just because you're trying to do something, like that's my biggest thing I'm noticing now too, is being like, I think it's cool that people can read the story and see like, oh, this guy actually did something that nobody in his area did. Some people made fun of him for trying to do it, but he loved what he was doing, had fun doing it, and kept chasing it and turned it into, turned that dream into a reality when 99.99% people would never think that would be possible. And I just think that's a cool thing for people to have nowadays. Anytime is just having goals, having dreams, having purpose, and finding what that is and going for it, even though everybody might not be in your corner and it might not be the most successful route to take, but you never know. You might find that happiness that you've been looking for. Not necessarily, it's not a money thing, could be a career thing, or it could be just, like I said, a purpose. Find that purpose in your life and go for it.
Is that the main thing you want the book to do? Like
now I do. I never thought about it, when we were making it. That wasn't the point. It was more so like I want to get my story out and just talk about songs and stuff that I couldn't dig in quite far. I can extend like the definition of what those songs are about. But when I read it now and I kind of reflect on it, it's like, no, I want this to be like a motivational thing as well. I want to motivate other people to walk that off the beaten path and do what everybody else might not be doing, but something that you love and something you have a desire for.
What do you think made you be like that, to just be willing to go so far off the beaten path and do your own thing?
I don't know, because you know what I mean. Like I had a pretty normal upbringing, middle class kid. I think it was probably just the fact. Well, the number one reason is because I liked it. Like, you know what I mean. I liked messing around with music, and when I first started, it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be rich and famous and this is how I'm going to support myself and my kids for the rest of my life. It was just a 15-year-old kid going, oh, this is cool, I like this. A couple of my friends heard me rap and they're like, oh, that's cool. And it initially gave me an identity, but just to keep going with it, to setting up shows and going on tour, it was just something that small steps I enjoyed doing. And it was like, oh shit, this is helping. And oh, okay, this is getting my music out more. And it wasn't, the initial plan wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to chase my dream. And, I still had my job and made sure I had my bases covered, because I never really figured it would work out until I was probably 25, 26. That's when it started to feel like, oh, maybe this could be something. So even up to that age, I was still working my job, coming home, doing my music on the side, trying to stay focused on both at the same time. And then at one point it just turned into like, okay, this is what I'm doing now.
Do you want to talk a bit about the process of how the book originally came to be? Just
like even before you were involved? Yeah, like the first thing, John from MacIntyre Purcell Publishing reached out, and he was working on, I don't know if it was like a kid's book or like a cartoon book or something. He wanted someone to voice it over or do something else with it. And I was just like, I appreciate you reaching out, but not something I'm really interested in doing. And then I kind of just said, hey, but I'd love to write a book on my life, and just to come up, just as like an extra little message at the bottom of it. And he's like, man, we'd love to be a part of that. Let me know if you want to do it. Then when I realized, shit, this could become a reality, then it was like, okay, then I really thought about it. And that's where you got involved. And we, went down that path. But yeah, originally it wasn't something that I planned to do for, maybe a little bit later in my life. But I'm glad I did it right now, because I like that I can reflect on a lot of this stuff, but I'm still doing shows and I'm still writing new music. And it's like, this is the first part of it. We'll have the second part come out in another 10 years and talk about like what's going on now and what happened since.
Then keeping on with that, like, do you want to talk about the actual writing process of how we did the book?
Yeah, originally it started like this, me and you on a Zoom call. And, I think I broke down a bunch of stuff and sent it to you and just kind of said different things we wanted to talk about. And then you put a bunch of questions together and we just went like this and interviewed each other. Then you flew out to Nova Scotia, hung here for a week, interviewed the family, the friends, me some more. And then you went home and just started kind of putting pen to paper. And then you would send it to me, a chapter by chapter. I would rewrite it in my words, how I would say it, fact check a few things that might just needed to be changed or whatever. And then you would, put it together and finish it up. So that was cool. Like I said, it was my first time doing this and doing a process like that, but I feel like it worked out pretty good.
It was funny to me because we had probably done, I don't know how many months of interviews we had done, and I still hadn't put pen to paper. It was like, we got to do all the interviews before I start, but it was just like, shit, I hope this goes well when it's time to actually write it,
Well, no, I feel you too, because we did it for months. And then when I got the first chapter, I was like, here we go. Hopefully this is something. It's like, okay. Because originally, I don't even think I was going to rewrite it my words. It was just, you were going to put it together. You sent it over and I was like, man, this is great, but it just doesn't sound like me. And then I would go back through it, rewrite, just basic, moving a couple words here and there, using different words at certain parts. But no, I think the process worked out good, because I think you had a different vision, the way you incorporated song lyrics, stuff like that. I wouldn't have did that if I just sat down and tried to write it myself.
Okay.
And just having someone from an outside perspective to be able to look at what I'm saying and, you putting that down on paper and saying, this is what I got out of that. I'm like, okay, cool. It's cool to see how other people take something I'm saying that might not, be the same way I perceive it. You might perceive it a different way.
Yeah. I feel like there was a point where John was starting to look at me like, I hope this guy can actually write it after I flew him out to Nova Scotia.
That's what I mean. It was a lot of work, a lot of investment, time and money.
Yeah.
Like, well, let's see what Dan comes back with. But man, you did your thing. It worked out well.
Yeah, it was fun. So I don't want you to spoil it, because I want people to read the book, but what do you think your favorite section of the book is?
There's a couple different spots, all for different reasons. Going from chapter 7 to chapter 8, the whole split of Luke Boyd and Classified, I found that really interesting. Just kind of going, because it felt like how I felt at that time. Like, I think I had my first daughter, and a month after I got asked to go on tour, and I was kind of like, that's where it was like, shit, Classified wants to go on tour, but Luke Boyd, the father, wants to stay home. And my manager was telling me to go on tour. Even my wife was telling me to go on tour. And, so going from that to the next chapter, I thought was, I don't know, it felt cool to me. It left me hanging on the end of the chapter, which I liked. I think I even mentioned that when we were working on it. But then stuff like the song I wrote that I didn't put out about pedophilia and my wife and her opinion on what I was doing there and with the story I was trying to get across. I'm glad that's in the book because the song never got to come out, because I don't know if people would have got where I was coming from with just the song. And the fact I could put the whole explanation of why I wrote this song, why I didn't put it out, but why I thought it was something that people need to talk about, I think is super important. And then just stories, like tour stories with the boys on the road, you know, talking about Ivy and Mike and just different friends that I've had over the years. And just, I like that. Like, I like that my friends are so involved in the book.
Yeah. So is making an album or writing a book easier?
Write the book.
You think so?
I thought so. Yeah, because I made albums 18 times, you know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm always comparing it to something else. I'm always like, is this on point with this? This I've only ever did once. So it wasn't like I had anything to compare to. It wasn't like, oh, this chapter is going to match up to the other chapter because, you know, last year I did that one and it, you know what I mean? There was no, and it was all new. It was like making music for the first time. Making my first album was a breeze compared to making my last album because anything was everything. If I just rapped on beat and recorded it and the drums were there and there was a vocal, it was like, oh shit, I'm on a song. It sounds legit. But now it's like that initial excitement or pleasure of just being, you know, hearing my voice recorded means nothing to me now because I've heard it so many times. It's more about what the actual song is, the content and stuff like that. And I feel with the book, it's the same thing. I've never had anything to compare to. I was never trying to outdo something else. It was just like, let me tell my story. And, you know, and just even doing it with you was different because albums, I'm usually making it by myself. Like I'm making the beat, I'm writing the verses, I'm writing everything. And obviously I have different people come in to help out, but it kind of always feels like it's me by myself spearheading the thing and, you know, trying to make this thing better than what it was.
That surprised me a lot. Like I thought that was a stupid question.
I could tell you it surprised you just when you're like, shit, really? But no, like, yeah, no, making albums it's just done it so long that it's like I really put myself on a high expectation list of like it's got to be here or else I'm not excited about it.
Yeah. Okay. So again, like without giving too much away, are there like what sections do you think should have been censored and left out?
Losing my virginity, masturbation, all that shit. I just feel like some of that stuff felt like a little personal, but at the same time, I hear old songs from 10 years ago. I heard Up All Night. I seen it on Much Vibe the other day, and stuff in that song, I'm like, why did I say that? But the mind frame I'm in when I do that stuff, and that's the thing too with this book, a lot of it was put together 2 years ago. So it's like, you know, sitting on something for 2 years. I don't do that with albums. When I finish an album, I put it out. With this book, we had to wait because COVID, and I really wanted to tour and just trying to line things up. So sitting with something that long and then going back to it, it's like, you know, anytime I do that with music, you know, I got this acoustic album I've been working on for 2 years, and I'm constantly changing stuff in that every day still because I just have time. I'm sitting on it, and stuff that I liked 2 years ago would maybe feels better if I do this to it now. So I feel like there's a couple things in the book, but that's part of the artistic side of it that I like. It's like, yeah, I'm glad I didn't take it out, even though sometimes it might be a little uncomfortable around some people, but it is what it is, man.
I've been listening to Self-Explanatory in my car, and I always have to turn the volume down for certain parts of Up All Night. So I feel like people are going to be like, what's this guy listening to? But also the thing about it.
No, I know what you're talking about.
But the thing about it is, I think people respond to that just raw honesty.
I do too. Like, I feel like, and that's the conversation I had with my brother, Mike Boyd, about Up All Night. When I was talking about the first time I masturbated, I thought I needed help. It was dark. You know what I mean? That whole line, he was like, why put that in there, man? Like, you know, he's kind of like, the fuck, man? And I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, I just like saying shit that's uncomfortable. And like you said, I think people like that because catches their ears. Like, you're not going to hear other people talk about that stuff. And, you know, it's real shit that most people go through.
Yeah. What has the response been like about the book from other artists?
Other music artists?
Yeah.
I don't know. Haven't heard so many yet because it just came out this week. So like
Yeah.
everything I've been hearing is like, you know, a couple fans that really seem to enjoy it. Couple people who've been doing press who got the book early, so they read it all. But no, people seem to dig it, man. They seem to enjoy the honesty of it. They like the flow that it feels like I'm talking to them. You know, so far so good. But yeah, I'm excited to read more reviews to see what people think. I'm waiting to get a couple bad ones because I know there's always a couple bad ones.
Yeah.
But I use those, man. Like I read what the bad ones are and kind of, you know, if the person's making sense of like, you know, why do you do this? And I take notes, and that's how I make the next one better. And that's what I always did for music as well. So
Yeah, those like people that really hate a project, they can have a lot, like a point or two that's legitimate.
100%, man. That's how I kept getting better. I like my first cassette, second album I put out, my second cassette. I remember reading a review. It's like, man, all this guy does is rap about making beats and why he's the dopest, you know. And I took that to heart, and I was like, yeah, why? And from that point on, I would constantly have songs on my albums that had nothing to do with hip hop, nothing to do with rap, but it was all because I read a bad review. And you know, sometimes you'll read bad reviews, and it's people just saying dumb shit. If it's like if it doesn't register and make sense to me, then I'll just brush it off and be like, ah, this guy's just hating or doesn't get it. You know what I mean? If you don't get it, you don't get it. But if I get it, I'm good. I don't need to change what I'm doing. But sometimes it will say valuable points, and when shit, I never looked at it that way. Take notes and make the changes for the next one.
Has any of your family or like close friends had a chance to read the book yet?
My wife did, and my mom did. None of my boys did. Like even Chris Joyce, I don't think he's ready yet. And you know, he's one of my closest friends. He's all through the book a lot of different ways. So you know what I mean? Jordan, I don't think he's wrote it. You know, there's a couple things I'm a little nervous of. Like I want to make sure I didn't piss off anybody, but I really wanted to be honest and, you know, really say it from my point of view. And I think I even say that in the book of saying, you know, this is my point of view of the situations. They might have a different point of view, but this is how I took it. And, you know, but yeah, no, I'm excited for more people. Even Mike's never read it yet. It's got a ton of stuff on Mike on it in the book. So
yeah. What did your wife and your mom think of it?
They both liked it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they both really liked it. They liked it. You know, I kind of use them as my like filter of like go through it, make sure I'm not saying anything too crazy or whatever, you know. But no, Kim went through it the hardest because she was going through editing little things like this didn't happen then, and this was more like in this year, and you know, it was a lot of giving me pointers. But by the time she finished it, she was just like, it's really good, you know. Gave me her thumbs up and was proud of it.
Cool.
And she comes off like the hero in the book most of the time anyway. So
yeah,
if she didn't like it, she'd hate. So
I mean, you're talking about the acoustic album. Like, what else are you working on right now? Or do you want, or like including the acoustic album, but do you want to just talk
That's
about
it? Okay. That's it. I just finished that like this week. We just sent it to the vinyl pressers. We're working on a new record deal right now. A couple different labels. We're trying to figure out which one we're going to do it with, but we're planning to drop the first video in January and have the whole album come out like April.
Okay, cool. I remember seeing the track list of the acoustic album at your place. Do you want to talk about that, or do you want to keep that a secret until it comes out?
No, we can talk about it.
Like I was super surprised to see Fifth Element on there. Just because, well, it's one of my favorite songs by you, but to imagine it being acoustic, like I want to hear what it sounds like, you know.
Well, I guess a better word from acoustic, I'd say reimagined.
Okay.
Because it's not like we did it on acoustic guitar. We just did it on piano and Dave Miles played horns. So it was just horns and piano, the whole song. Which, you know, most of them are guitar driven, more like acoustic guitar, but certain ones like that and that in class he's done like on a mandolin. It's just this crazy version. It's pretty dope. Okay. But Fifth Element, Fifth Element came due because me and Owen, who's my keyboard player, and David Miles were doing a show, and they were messing around, and just Owen played the piano. Dun, 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 dun. I was like, man, this shit sounds amazing. So I just recorded, and I was like, this doesn't sound like an acoustic album, but this is going on the acoustic album just because it was such a different version. So that's what I like to call the album, is more like a reimagined version of what the songs were.
Okay. And then are you hoping to tour with the release of that album?
Yeah. I was just talking to my manager an hour ago of we're hoping to announce the dates first week in January when we announce the first video for the acoustic album, and then do the tour hopefully in April. So that's the plan.
Cool. How have you, I mean, we were talking about this a bit before we started recording, but I just thought people might be curious, like, how have you been doing during COVID times?
I think like most people, trying to find purpose. That's a big thing for me. I think for most people who own their own business or music artists that are so used to having like, oh, okay, I got a show next weekend, or I got to do this and get this done, to a point of like, I've been sitting here for a year and I'm not doing any of that stuff. So it took me a second to realize this was going to be lasting for a while. And that's when I started preparing and creating my own purpose for when this is over. It's like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like, we had 10 music videos done for the acoustic album. So me and Mike just been shooting nonstop, finished that up. But I've never had an album done, ready to go, and have 10 music videos done. Like, that's just kind of unheard of in my world. So, just finding purpose to prepare for when this is over and we can go on tour and we can start putting out music and get out there and see people. So, it's tough on the kids though, man. That's my biggest thing, is like, my kids are telling me life is going by fast. And it's like, man, I never thought of that when I was 10 years old. Life felt like a week felt like it took a year to go by when you were a kid. And that kind of scares me, that my kids are like, yeah, I felt like I was in grade 7 2 weeks ago. And, it was 2 years ago. And it's like, just thinking about the kids, man. I'm good though. It's just, I'm a people person. I like being around people. You know what I mean? I like to conversate with people. So I'm excited to get back and be around people.
One of the most striking things that I thought about your personality working on the book is just that, like, how much of a people person, like, you got people coming and going from your house all the time. Like, I've kind of been in my element during COVID, just hanging out.
You like it, eh? Yeah. I
like,
got friends like that too, that are like, man, I'm not mad at this at all. Like, I like being alone. I don't got to go out. I can work from home. And I think that's just on the perfect person. Some people are like that, but no, I've always been, like we wrote in the book, you know what I mean? Playing ground hockey when I was a kid, it was like, I'm always around people. I like being around people. Obviously, I like to have my alone time, but my alone time can be for like an hour of the day. The other 12 hours, I can be around people and doing my thing. So,
yeah. And I just feel that I'm pretty sure this is in the book, but I just felt like it made sense for you to be an artist who's out at like venues, doing shows, all that's, like, it just makes sense with the personality.
And I think it is in the book, but I think that has helped my career, of just being able to go in and I can go to a radio station and talk to the guy who runs the radio station the same way I can talk to the DJ, or the same way I can talk to, some guy in the street parking the car, whatever it is. Like, I don't have a hard time talking to anybody. It can be a gangster rapper from New York City that I'm dealing with, or it can be a pop artist, acoustic singer-songwriter from Cape Breton, and I'm going to talk to them the same way. And, they kind of get the same person. So I think it's a comfort thing too for me. Like, it wasn't that easy before when I was kind of coming up and trying to figure out who I was as a person. And am I this hardcore rapper that's got to have a wall up all the time? Or am I just this country kid? But as I grew up, I just got more comfortable with myself. And I find for me anyway, the more I was comfortable with myself, you can put me in any place in the world and I can sit there and have a conversation and not feel awkward about it.
So how does it feel to be an author now?
Feels good. I feel better when it's the best-selling author, though.
Oh, definitely. I'll just
you know what I mean? That's the goal now, bud. That's the goal now. But no, it's cool, man. It's just another thing because, like you said, I've done so many albums, and to have this book, I think is really cool. I think it's something that I'm going to be able to bring to shows for years, and people will still, be interested in this book because I find books are timeless. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know. It's cool. It's a cool another angle because, I was started as a rapper. Then I became a producer and a beat maker, and now I'm an author. So triple threat, right?
Yeah. Did you ever think you'd be an author?
Hell no. Hell no. I barely read books. So to think, you know what I mean? But saying that, like the only books I ever did read were like musicians' biographies.
Okay.
Like I always found interest in that. So, you know, I figured I'd write something someday, but yeah, I don't know. If you asked me when I was 20, are you going to write a book? I'd be like, hell no.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that's the fun thing in life, is getting older and discovering new things that you're like, I never would have thought I'd do this, and not being scared to be like, fuck it, I'm 43 years old. Let me go try to write a book.
Yeah. I saw somebody was commenting on your post about the book coming out, just saying they don't think they've read a book since the 5th grade or something.
Yeah, yeah.
And you said
I
you're
think
in the
I
same
liked
boat.
it. The same thing, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So can we expect more books from Classified? You were talking about maybe in 10 years revisiting.
Man, it might be sooner, just because even going through the book, there's so many things that I feel like we haven't touched on yet.
Yeah.
Like there's just little things that I'm like, man, I forgot to mention that. No, I forgot about this. And so, you know, slowly I'm going to start just writing things down, like how I write my rhymes. I got my little notepad. When an idea comes up, I'll write in it. I'm already starting to kind of write new things. It's like, man, I didn't talk about that. I didn't talk about this. Let's put that in the book. And, you know, Rhea May producing for her and stuff like that. There's just a lot of different things that, you know, could be in another book. So yeah, maybe in the future I'll write another one for sure.
Cool. So in your dedication in the book, you thank hip hop, and you say that's kind of corny, but you still do it. Can you just expand on why you did that?
Because my whole life is because of hip hop. You know what I mean? A white kid from Nova Scotia, influenced by this culture that came out of New York, you know, urban Black New York, whatever you want to call it, you know, it's a whole different world for me. And just the fact that I was accepted in it and being able to do it, and even working with some of my heroes, you know, I thank hip hop for that. But even bigger than that, taking my kids to Costa Rica to do a rap show, you know, even bigger than that, buying my daughter a pair of sneakers or pants off of me making rap music. Like sometimes you forget that perspective of like, everything we have is because of hip hop music, you know? So it does sound corny to be like, oh, I want to thank hip hop, or it sounds cliche, but things are cliche for a reason. And it's like, man, hip hop really gave me an identity as a kid. It gave me confidence to be who I am. And it's let me take my kids around the world and give them clothes, take them to the movies on Tuesday night, or me buy a bag of weed. That's all hip hop that's given me that. And, you know, I can't forget that.
Is there anything else that you want to say on the book to everybody?
Got to read the book to find out. It's in there.
That's true. That's
there
true.
You go.
All right. Well, I think we could end it there. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching this, and hope you enjoy the book. Any closing words?
No, man, just, you know, thanks to everyone who's picked it up. Thank to you, Dan, for helping me put this together and being very creative with the way you put it together, because I never would have came up with the way you incorporated the song lyrics and just different stuff. I thought it was really dope. And, you know, just thanks to the whole team for making this happen. And, you know, let's see where we take it.
Awesome. And it was an honor to work on it. Super dope experience. But
yeah, man.
Yeah. All right. Classified merch.
Thanks for coming to Enfield, man. Thanks for coming to Enfield too.
Well, thanks for having me to Enfield.
Yeah, man. Anytime, bud. Anytime.
Enfield was like some place that I just heard about in music. Yeah, so to be there was cool, you know.
Yeah, man. Like every small town in Canada, man. I find it's very similar. But
yeah, definitely. All right. So classifiedmerch.com. You can get a signed copy from Classified. The road to the bestseller. Road to the bestseller begins.
Here we go.
All right.
All right, bro.
Bye-bye, everybody.